Yo, what's up guys, welcome back for another YgoPro duel video. Next match, Cross-Banlist Cup. Again a very important match here for both decks, since as you see here, Shadows is already sure that we'll move on to the top 16 playoffs, although TeleDAD versus Gishki's. Hieratic Gishki is the first deck list you see here, is of course Hieratic Gishki, the hand loop deck featuring Gust Dragon. Second deck list we have Caesar Gonzalez, a TeleDAD build, also very nostalgic, all the way back in the old school days. So again, very important matchup here. If TeleDAD is able to win one game, then it's sure to move on to the top 16 playoffs. So here in this matchup, Gishki's or Hieratic Gishki needs to win with a clean 2-0 match, and then it will move on also to the top 16 playoffs. Otherwise, it will be TeleDAD. So let's not waste any more time. Let's hop into the first duel. Alright, first game, and I think my opponent got to start, and this is, or at least this is one of those matches that opening a duel is super important, especially if you're playing something like an like a loopish Gishki deck, as my opponent here does, since again TeleDAD is not running any hand traps, no Veiler, no Maxi, which of course back in the 2012 era, which were very crucial against this Gishki Hieratic deck, and eventually is able to like send 3 cards back from my hand back to the deck. You know how Gishki works, or Evil Gishki. Gust Dragon works, reveal 2 random cards from your opponent and then pick one of them and send it back to the deck. And I believe he now has full information about my hand. He knows that I have the Chaos and the Breaker as well. I do top deck into the Allure of Darkness, not really sure if I have any outs against his field. You know, no monster effects because of the Bouncer. Crush card would have been an out if I would have, would have been able to set up Malicious with Destiny Draw, for example, but he did have Mystical Space Typhoon, so again the Crush card wouldn't have mattered that much. Brain Control also would not have been an out. Well, yeah, I would have gotten, at least, yeah, I would have been able to get rid of 2 monsters, since the Bouncer can negate monster effects, you know, Suicide. But outside of that, no chance to win the first game. So the second and probably the most important game here for TeleDAD, and immediately opened with Crush card Malicious. Not going to think about that, use Crush card to cripple my opponent. Normally I would have waited, since you know he does play a lot of search cards, and at the moment he would have been able, at least he would have used his Ritual Summon. His ritual spell, I would have chained the Crush card to immediately proceed to game number 3, right? But yeah, again, due to the heavy storm, I again was forced to use the early Crush card. So he still has some chance to get back in the duel. Both the Dark Armed and the Greffer, I believe, were revealed. So the Dark Armed was sent back to the deck. His Bouncer, okay, does negate monster effect. The Reaper again provides somewhat stall. Yeah, he can just overlay his monsters, his exceeds for the Gaia Dragon to just trample and attack over defense. But the Monster Reborn here is an instant out for a possible Veiler from my opponent, you know, to have any possible Synchro Summon option, and going for Colossal definitely was an out for his field. But top decking into the Krabbens just makes it much more easy, and yeah, he does top deck into the Seal, Hieratic Seal of Convocation to search out an Hieratic monster, but that doesn't matter. Go for the Synchro Summon of Magical Android to give myself more attack points on the field, and I can equalize the score. So again, 1-1. TeleDAD has the victory it needs to move on to the top 16 playoffs. Last game doesn't really matter too much outside of the fact that Hieratics or Gishki Hieratics can possibly win over TeleDAD, so let's play on. Again, the opponent starts off, and as I said before, this deck is not playing any hand traps, so the Hieratic Gishki deck is super consistent in getting off its loop of, you know, sending back 3 to maybe 4 cards from your opponent's hand back to the deck, and eventually able to end with something like double Messier 7 and Bouncer, or, you know, triple Messier 7, depending on what your opponent has in his hand. I'm not really sure, I think he knows my entire hand by now, with the Doomlord, the Rota, and another monster, the Stratos. So again, normal summon the Stratos to attack over his Gishki Abyss, which, well, yeah, it does give him the extra monster zone to use to eventually give him another rank 6 exceed play. So attacking his Abyss or not wouldn't have mattered that much. He also would have been able to use his Abyss for a possible ritual summon indeed, so in the long run it's not going to matter too much. After some shenanigans and more searches, he's able to eventually attack for a game. But as mentioned before, okay, Gishki Hieratic wins this one over TeleDAD with both Shadows and yeah, TeleDAD both have 5 points, as you will be seeing here in the final standings for the group. So eventually, since TeleDAD won its matchup against Shadows, TeleDAD will be placed first, or at least will get the first place here in the group, and Shadows will be placed second. And then we move all the way to the right, to the top 16 playoffs. You know, the deck that ends up first place here in Group A, which is TeleDAD, will always be placed on top, and will face a second place deck list from the other groups. And in this case, Group A will face Group H, so all the way in the end. And for now, but you know, Group H still needs to play one match. For now, TeleDAD will face on the second place currently in Group H, and that's Necros. But again, Necros still has to play one match, and currently Performance Shadows will face first place of Group H, and that's currently Lawn Mowing Infernoids. But still, one match remaining here in Group H, so next matches will be posted soon, starting off with Group B. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out.